In this week's episode of The 100, we saw Madi confronting her demons, one weird decrepit hand, and we peeled back a few more layers of Josephine. First up, we finally get to see the infamous Shadeheda. For those that don't remember, Gaia has been training Madi to commune with past commanders through the use of the flame. While doing this training, Madi has began hearing some concerning things from one particular commander.
Shadeheda, the Dark Commander.
She tells Madi not to listen to him, and that her training has only become more vital now that he's there. So back to this episode, Madi begins to see him in her dreams. Gaia tells her that they need to do a separation ritual to reduce his influence in her mind and become more in tune with the flame. They begin the ritual and Madi meets with Shadeheda face to face for the first time. He tells her that she needs to remove Gaia and take control of everything around her by force.
No.
You're a liar.
He also mentions that his Flamekeeper tried to stop him by chaining him up, and when Madi awakes, she discovers that Gaia has done exactly that. Things are not looking good for Madi, but they soon become even worse. After Bellamy tells her that Clark is dead, she meets with Shadeheda once more and seems to be listening to him. But rather than kill Gaia, as Shadeheda recommends, Madi banishes her from Sanctum and asks for a dark piece of advice from Shadeheda.
Tell I had a flag ima opogeda.
Given the events of the other major plot lines from this season, it was either a perfect time or the worst possible time for Shadeheda to rise in her mind, depending on how you look at it. Madi's world is seemingly falling apart around her, and if there was ever a person to ask about getting revenge, it would be that creepy-looking guy in the hood. Meanwhile, out in the forest, Octavia and Dioza are looking for Xavier. They find him in a cave, but Octavia isn't doing so good. It turns out that her hand got exposed to the temporal flare from last episode and is rapidly aging?
I'll give her 3 hours tops before the time dilation reaches her brain. And she's dead.
Well, I hope we learn more about just what is up with that in the future, but for now Xavier says he may know of a way to cure it, but they need to go to the spot where the flare hit, so he and Dioza go back, and when Xavier starts pulling sap out of the tree, Dioza gets a little suspicious. But once Xavier heals a wound on her arm almost instantly with the sap, they head back to begin to treat Octavia's arm. The sap does seem to help heal it, but Xavier says it's not going to completely fix it. However, during the treatment, he notices that her hand is not just having random tremors, but instead is moving in a set pattern.
Here. Let it scrape against the boulder. Don't try to control your hand, just let it move. Close your eyes.
He gives her a rock and tells her to just let the arm go, which reveals a spiral pattern.
Anomaly's calling you. Just like it called me.
Xavier reveals that he too has a similar thing happen to him, and once Dioza also reveals that she has been doodling spirals in her notebook, he tells him that it may be time to go see the expert. Finally, Josephine does some more skulking around, but this time with Murphy at her side. Bellamy is the only other person to know who she is, but he's in lockup. Josephine sends Murphy in to try and convince Bellamy to keep the secret for now, but he's not having any of that.
We kill them all, and we take theirs.
He discovers Murphy is a turncoat, shocker, and sends him on his way. In the meantime, Echo, Mori, and Raven return from learning how to build the radiation barrier, and Josephine tells Echo that Bellamy is out with the foraging party to look for a spot for their new compound. This is a lie, but Josephine is hoping that it will keep Echo out of her way long enough to accomplish her final goal of convincing Abby to show her how to make Nightbloods. She also says that she'll kill Bellamy at Second Moon.
If Bellamy knows that Clark is dead, then all of this is for nothing. He may as well just kill us all now.
That seems a tad impulsive. I was thinking of giving you till Second Moon. That's when the foraging party comes back and Echo finds out I was lying.
But when that time comes, Murphy has made a play of his own and informed Russell of his daughter's plan.
I take big swings.
Eventually, Josephine lets Bellamy go, and in an act of revenge, he begins to strangle Russell. You see, Josephine was hoping that he would kill her father so that she would have one less person trying to talk her out of what she was doing. But Bellamy is not so easily played, and he comes to his senses and spares Russell. After this, she goes to her mother Sophia and tries to convince her to erase the Lee family, who are the ones who tried to invade the ship in episode 2 and are all currently dead. This is so they'll have 4 free spots for a select few who help to continue the Prime's reign of power. So far, Josephine has given 2 to Murphy, one for himself and another presumably for Mori. She also manages to convince Abby to show her how to make Nightbloods by telling her that she can save Kane by turning him into one, uploading his brain to the chip, and bringing him back in a new body. Abby reluctantly agrees to the plan, which means that there's only one chip left undesignated as of right now.
Okay, I'll do it.
At the end of the episode, Josephine finally falls asleep, but she has a nightmare where we can see a flashback of Clark when she was in her prison cell aboard the Ark. So it feels like the direction of this season has been solidified as of right now. Madi and Bellamy both want blood, Octavia, Dioza, and Xavier are going into the anomaly to visit Gabriel, and Josephine is going to put her name in the history books right next to Hitler and Bin Laden. Well, that's all for this week. Tune in next time for more recaps and analysis of the latest episode of The 100.